Good evening. My name is John Presco. It's May 25th at 5:50. Is going to be about some legal papers I found about an hour ago while going through an old desk, cleaning it out. This is written by Phil Stimmick, the attorney of my niece Shannon Benton, in regards to this estate that her mother left her in a will. Page one is with other papers. I've already been able to scan that and put it up, but I couldn't find these other papers. I'm going to read this and then we'll go over it. It is no coincidence that Garth Benton's name appears on Shannon Rosamond's resume, along with her own independent business and personal references. And cross-examination of Mr. Benton will not only impeach his submissions to this court under penalty of perjury, but establish that he employed Shannon Rosamond and allowed her to use his name as an employment reference prior to his divorce with her mother. On May 16th, I wrote to Ms. Berry, Beare, and asked for a meeting to address Shannon Rosamond's concerns. Mrs. Berry responded in a letter in which she based her refusal to meet with me on the grounds statements in my letter caused her to fear for her safety, and then embarked on an unfair smear campaign against heir Rosamond, Shannon Rosamond. Mrs. Berry subsequently ignored another correspondence in which I asked her to correct or clarify her false statements made against me. She also proceeded with her litigation strategy without investigating or disclosing to the court concerns that Mr. Chazen, Mr. Benton, and herself may be engaging in civil and criminal conspiracies, fraud, perjury, the things of false police reports, etc., in their attempt to wrongfully gain control of Shannon Rosamond's interest in the art gallery. In addition to unfairly representing the facts of this case to the court and persisting in a fraudulent scheme to circumnavigate Shannon Rosamond's determination to continue in her mother's footsteps as an artist and businesswoman in this community, Mrs. Berry and Mr. Chazen have now joined forces with Mr. Benton in perpetuating the oppressive litigation abuses set in motion by Exhibit A to G of Shannon Rosamond's objections on file with this court. Outrageous, absolutely outrageous. I'm so glad I found this. Insane. I found this 3 months after Christine died. I helped Vicky. She dropped out as executor. None of this would have been going on. But she was in contact with Robin Beery almost every day. I was helping her do her accounting while she was on the phone with Robin Beery, hours, day after day. So Vicky's dropping out was a strategy to defraud Shannon out of her estate. Absolutely. Shannon is now aware of this after she came in possession of Vicky's papers after she died. Over a year and a half ago, she wanted me to go down and visit Vicky in Bullet City, but she was in a rest home. She could barely communicate, recognize people, and it looked like she was going to die. When she died, she was in my sister's house, and she came upon documents that to show that Christine betrayed her. Vicky Presco betrayed her in every way. I will now be using these documents to get Mrs. Berry and Mary Chazen disbarred. Let me continue. Chazen, which was executed to separate all financial ties between Garth Benton and Christine Rosamond. See Shannon Benton's objections. Garth Benton was ordered by this court to stay at least 50 yards away from the Gowrie business. Garth Benton was sanctioned 1,000 by this court by harassing Christine by his frivolous litigation tactics and also for failing to advise the court as to the truth of the matters which he brings before it. I have various witnesses prepared to testify as to Mr. Benton's manipulative litigation strategies in this court. Absolutely. Absolutely. The Art Gowrie business is clearly the sole and separate property of Christine Rosamond. By her own admission, Mrs. Berry has never met Shannon Rosamond, yet she has made irresponsible personal and character attacks on her, not only to me, but to various individuals in this community as well. Since being served with formal notice of Mr. Bennett's ongoing fiduciary breaches, the surety has also joined forces with Mrs. Berry and making unwarranted attacks on Shannon Rosamond without fair investigation or procedures. My sister Vicky is helping this, is leading, giving these people, they're not family members, thumbs up, go for her. My sister betrayed me and my family and Christine, especially Christine, who made her number one executor. But Vicky is a fraud and a criminal and a fake and a phony and an enemy of the art world and an enemy of my niece Shannon, who was left everything. Vicky and other Stacey Pro and Jackie Belford tried to get Shannon's estate from her so they could write a book and make a movie from the book and make a fortune off the movie. That's what they were going for. That's what my mother told me a month after her daughter died. This is part of this. This is the evidence. The proof is in the pudding, and we'll get to that at the end of this letter. Should this matter proceed to jury trial, the record will clearly demonstrate that Shannon Rosamond has considerable experience and success in sales, marketing, management, fundraising that dovetails very nicely with those special artistic skills which she shares with her mother. Exhibit B is a sample of her artwork made at the age of 12 under the tutelage of her mother, Christine Rosamond. The psychological personality expert witnesses that will testify should this case proceed to trial can offer the necessary testament to show the parallels between the mother and daughter artists, which supports the testamentary intent evidence to also be presented. In reviewing various documents in this case, including many in the handwriting of Christine Rosamond, it is apparent to me that her intent was clearly to leave the Gowrie business to Shannon to carry on and share with her minor sister. That's Drew Benton. That's Drew Benton. I have reviewed this matter with family, friends, and former attorneys of Christine Rosamond and business associates and Gowrie owners in Carmel and other parts of the country who are prepared to submit the necessary documentary and testimonial evidence to the court of Mrs. Berry's continues to force the state. If Mrs. Berry continues to force the state into litigation. Christine Rosamond's witnesses clearly confirm that Mrs. Benton's participation in this estate is in fact nothing more than self-serving manipulative scheme which has already been exposed to this court through the pleading filed on behalf of Mrs. Rosamond at this stage in the proceeding. That's Shannon Rosamond, my niece. All evidence available to me clearly indicates that it was Christine Rosamond's express and implied intent and desire to create an estate plan which would provide her oldest daughter, Shannon, the first opportunity to own and operate the art gallery business in Carmel. Mrs. Beery's submission to this court failed to disclose this evidence. And here's the affidavit that Vicky filed with the help of Robin Beery. Be acknowledged that Vicky Presco of Alameda County, the undersigned document being of legal age, does hereby dispose and say under oath as follows. Prior to the arrest of Shannon Benton, I specifically called Shannon at her residence in Southern California to explain to her that I had nominated Garth Benton as executor and there was no reason for her to return to Monterey at this time. I realized that the locks had been changed and not to try to enter her mother's home. I also advised her that if she tried to enter the home anyway, that she would be considered a trespasser and treated as such. And I affirm that the foregoing is true except as to the statements made upon information and belief, and to those I believe them to be true. Witness my hand, Vicky Presco. Outrageous, outrageous. Why did Vicky drop out as executor? So I got a job. Her job right off the bat is put aside. And I was doing her job where she conspired to commit fraud against the state of her sister. Absolute fraud with the help of the ex-husband, my brother, Mark Presco, Stacy Perot, and her high school best friend, Jackie Belford. They conspired to get a quick sale to Stacy Perot or Jackie Belford. Doesn't matter. They're a tag team. Jackie Belford called me and said she made an offer to purchase the estate, pay off all the creditors. That's what made me suspicious. Why isn't Vicky calling me up and telling me this? Why is Jackie Belford telling me this? Why is Vicky not going over this with me and Shannon? Vicky's telling me that Shannon's disappeared. Well, apparently she's not disappeared. She's got an attorney. They're trying to get rid of her so they can sell everything to Jackie Belford and her front person, Stacy Perot. Stacy Perot met with Sidney Morris of Buck, Rose, Morris, and Heisinger on several occasions. They were in Christine's house looking at inventory. There's talk about her dead plants not being watered. I had my mother Rosemary called, and Sidney Morris said, there's a box of photographs sitting here in this empty house. Do you want them? My mother says, of course I want them. Where's Vicky? What is Vicky doing? She's dreaming about being a big player in the art world, making millions off the movie. And my brother Mark Presco says Shannon and Drew aren't going to get any proceeds from the book and the movie. I go, really? Why? Oh, it's kind of complicated. I don't have time to tell you. I said, no, I got all the time. Come on, May, find the time. Tell me why our nieces aren't going to make any money from the movie and the book. Well, it's because they didn't want Shannon, who was 28 when her mother died. Drew was 8 years old. She's got no say. She's the sole daughter now parent of Drew. So all the concentration, is on getting rid of the adult heir, so they can do what they want. They can make as much money they want any way they want and see fit. And Vicky's nominated Garth Benton because he's in on it. They're going to split the profits. How about Aunt Lillian? Is she in on it? How about Raphael Fouquet? Is she in on it? There's a party going on planned for Rocky Point, where Christine drowned in the morning around 10:50. Christine had to plan for that party. She's a meticulous dresser. I found a card of a hairdresser stuck in the door. She went out there to do her hair, and she was at the hospital dead. How many members of my family were going to be out there to that party? How many were already at the house, Christine's house, or even staying at Rocky Point? And Christine died, but as complicated as the state was, they said, this is good, but now we can sell this artwork that's not selling because she's dead. She's a dead artist. And it's automatic that the price of an artist goes up when she's dead. Well, that's not necessarily true in every case. And not the case of a commercially known artist who never had a bona fide art critic write her up in an article. She was basically a commercial hack artist. She cranked out lithographs. She'd do a plate and crank out 2,000 images and sell them for $40 to $50 each. What is that? Do the math. That's what, $500,000? But they weren't selling like they were back in 74, 72, when Ira Cohn was cranking these things out. But then there's the movie. How can you go wrong with the movie about a famous woman artist? And the book, how can you go wrong with that? Well, they did. It's the worst book ever written. The worst book ever written. Autobiography, science fiction, you name it. Any category, worst book ever fucking written. Absolutely a disaster. Because why? Garth Benton's assassinating his ex-wife's character. Everybody goes after the dead artist. But me and Shannon, because we're not in the book. I'm mentioned as the instigator of my best friend's suicide. It's absolutely outrageous what's said to people in that book, the crimes. Simic is saying that Robin Berry has besmirched his character and won't meet with him because of what he said, that she fears for her safety and her life. They did that to me. Vicky told me that Sidney Morris was going through my letters looking for some kind of threat. There was no threat. So he could dismiss me. The proof is in the outcome. Mr. Robert Brevard Buck, your law firm fucked up, screwed up, destroyed this estate. You had to have read this letter. You had to have read Stimic's input and saw what was going on. I got this from the files when I went there with my detective friend, Michael Harkins. We got this out of the file. Monterey Superior Court. You could have gone in there and looked, Sidney Morris, and read this. And I was telling you, sending you letters backing this up, and even more, offering more proof that they lied about her death. I didn't say it was murder. My detective friend said it could be murder. Anything could have happened because they've lied about everything: the wind, the wave, the tide, everything. This is an outrage. I will be filing papers to get you, Sidney Morris debarred, and Barry. This to see the outcome, the horrible movie script that had Shannon crying on Christmas Eve last. She found it. She was reading it. She said, I can't believe the horrible things they're saying about my mother in this movie script. But it's all through the book. All through the book. They make Christine out to be dangerous and beating up on Garth's daughter. It's horrible. And have family members looting the state. And Vicky was there, the puppet master. So was my brother, instructing everything to blame everything on Shannon. And when I defended Shannon, they came after me. They must have told, Vicky must have told Sidney Morris all kinds of horrible things about me. So did Mark. What an evil neo-Nazi son of a bitch that bastard is. He's hiding. He should hide. Because I'll slap him with papers. My attorney will, because I've had it. This is proof. I've never seen a case of anybody going after somebody who inherited money like this. Now, Larry Chazen is a financial advisor to J. Paul Getty and other Getty members. He is a partner in the Plump Jack wineries, along with all the Gettys and Nancy and the Pelosi's are partners also. Garth Benton sued Gordon Getty and Ann Getty for painting over his mural. This is huge. That Shannon's attorney accuses Lawrence Chazen of being involved. Fraud. A conspiracy. He's in a book on J. Paul Getty. He was the executive, one of the executives of Noble Oil. He used his attorney skills to get them offshore in Rougemont, Switzerland, so they don't have to pay taxes. Noble Oil. Big oil people, attorneys. Got it? They made a movie about one of the Gettys getting kidnapped. They made a series about J. Paul Getty Jr. being kidnapped and the greed for money. Well, you just read it. You just heard it. This is right there. This Chazen's right there. Garth is right there. And how deep is Robert Brevard Buck, who owns the Buck Foundation? He put that together. That family gets money from that. After putting that foundation together, there is money being given to members of the Brevard Buck that are unnamed. I looked after my mental health. I saw therapy. We talked about me not pursuing any of this and doing things I like even maybe taking the violin and going back to my art. But this is real. This is an assault upon a famous artist and her legacy that she left to her two daughters. As the president of Roy Rosamond Press and Newspaper for the Arts, I'm obligated to complete a novel on this. And it may not be a part of my autobiography, but it's going to be a novel by itself. Just so the record is clear. Thank you for listening.